What makes North Carolina special, I think where we're situated, right? We're in the middle of the East Coast. We're 8-9 hours from New York, 6-7 hours from Atlanta. We have the most HBCUs of any state. So we have an influx of people from all over the country, which makes our sound like a melting pot. We have a history of jazz, but we also a car culture. But we also got, a lot of New York people that end up staying there and they infuse the culture. So our sound is really just a melting pot of everything. You're gonna get your lyrical rappers like me and J. Cole, but you also can get the Baby, that got that bounce. And I think that's beautiful about us. You can't really put a box on us or really have a true definition of who we are, because we incorporate all pieces of the culture and sound of all music. And I love that about us. I mean, it's a different season of time, business, especially when we talk about the music business, where talent isn't always what's upheld at the highest regard. It's really about what's entertaining, you know what I'm saying? And that can make, the journey a lot harder for some pure artists who really care about the music first more than anything. I was talking to Yolanda, I was like, I'm still in a good fight. And it really is a fight, but it's a good one because it has purpose behind it. So it's just really persevering, feeling like you have to work 100 times harder to be seen, to be heard, to be appreciated, to be valued. Everything sometimes feel like it's supposed to fit into this one category. Your music got to be on trap beats. It got to be hype. My show's got to be jumping. Music is supposed to be for life. It's a soundtrack of life. And I think we forget that at times because of what's always put in our face. It's good to, have a vibe. It's good to wild out, but also it's good to just sit back and just feel things and think. So I think the hardest part is being patient with the process and remembering to always go back to gratitude, because you can lose sight in this journey, but, when you realign yourself and know your purpose, it makes it a little bit easier. You focus on the true currency instead of the fantasy and illusion and the things that we're told are supposed to validate us. So it's really a mental thing, an awareness thing. I studied true lyricists in and out. There were a lot of verses, but I think it's important to speak to what's coming to mind. And it's got to be Lauryn Hill, Trying to think because I want to spit the verse, but I always forget the first bar. But the last two bars are, even through all my logic and my theories, I add a motherfucker so you ignorant niggas hear me. It's always been such a powerful bar to me. And it's one bar that keeps me grounded, when it's hard. I can give you every piece of me, all the talent, all the skill. I can make it fun. I can give you message. I can give you love. But until I, add that motherfucker, you don't hear me. So it just, early on, it taught me to prepare for the walk that I was about to take. And on a more recent verses, her verses she did with Nas, If you block me, then you block the message. Lauren, top 5 that are alive. I mean, I never looked at myself as, I'm a woman doing this, I always knew who I was. If you see me, you know who I am. I always wanted to represent just being the best of the best, and that's how I approached it. And I always hope that in doing that, like so many have did before me, Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Roxanne Shante, Lauryn Hill, and so many others, that you widen the door for the next ones that are coming through. So as a woman, their fight is not as hard. You know what I'm saying? That it gets easier and easier, and you're not relegated to just a box of, oh, she's a woman, she should rap like this. There's a ceiling on your talent and what you can do. Like, nah, like we here to take off heads. I don't care what's between your legs or what's between mine. So, that was always the mission for me, just to be the best that I could be. And so the next one's coming after you, like you look at them for their talent, But as a woman, it feels good to represent women, to be an example, to be an inspiration on you being yourself is amazing. They always told me, like, people either want to have to be you or want to have to fuck you. excuse my language, you know, and I want people to be themselves. That's my whole journey. Like, look at me and know that you don't have to be me, but see me being myself and know that you could be yourself. That's always been my message. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to change the narrative. We got to go way wider than, you know, what we're given. The first time I met DMX, we never worked together, but the interaction meant something to me. I was in New York leaving Sirius, and he was down the street, and it was like, yo, that's DMX, right? So we go see, and, you know, he got on the wife beater, like, he got a fifth in his hand, and Ninth was with me, and he was like, yo, this is my artist, Rapsody, and he was like, all right, spit something, you know? So I spit, like, my verse from Lonely Thoughts that I had with Big Crit and Chance to Rap, and I was nervous, I was green, like, really just new to the business, and I remember he told me, he was like, hey, it was all right, but, you know, you got to put energy, passion into it, right? And he just went into his DMX mode, and he just started spitting with the most performance, like, and I never forgot that. Like, you can be nice at writing and all, but you also have to be able to perform it. People got to feel it, you know? And I never forgot that. And I think the next one was Mr. Cheeks. Mr. Cheeks came down to the studio, and I just observed him in the booth. And the illest quote that was, motion creates emotion, right? Like, you can get in the booth and hold it and just, but he was in there dancing and moving, and it was just like, motion creates emotion. That's why it feels different when you move, when you rap, and it's just helped me. And I know to the world I don't have a song with either one of them, but they still were super influential just in my, you know, encounters with them both. My one piece of advice is, before you do anything, ask yourself what you want out of it. Ask yourself who you are, and that'll answer all your questions and make your journey easier to define where you want to go. You know what I'm saying? That was one thing that Guru and Ninth sat me down before I ever put out music. They said, define your line now. What line won't you cross? What won't you compromise? What do you want out of this? Do you want to be like, you know, a pop star? Do you want to get in quick and make hits? Do you want to be a legacy artist? Depending on what your answer is, how you approach this business will be different. So know who you are before you do anything.